You are watching The Horizon, the voice of the Amber Woman, exclusively on ABC Amba TV.
The Law Republic, the Cameroon president Paul Biya things being under control in Amazonia.
This Saturday, December 7th, 2024, a new era of broadcasting by Amazonia begins.
Introducing the groundbreaking 4K project by Amazonia Broadcasting Corporation, ABC Networks 24, where vibrant Amazonian content comes alive in stunning quality through different networks. We launch a world of diverse and untold stories told through multiple languages: French, Spanish, Portuguese, and that is just the beginning. An ambitious journey to bring the rich tapestry of Amazonia to every screen, everywhere. Join us as ABC Amba TV English expands to new horizons, broadcasting on DSTV and Canal Plus Horizon this January. Get ready for a dynamic viewing experience that is as colorful and diverse as Amazonia itself. This is more than television. This is ABC Network 24. Taking our story into the future and wonders of multimedia. This is the movement.
Join us and be part of history as the President of the Federal Republic of Amazonia, His Excellency Dr. Samuel Ikonesako, introduces this experience of a lifetime.
Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon. Welcome to The Horizon, the voice of the Amber Woman. Let me start by always sending special greetings to our ASA, those who are defending our territory. I also want to greet fellow Amazonians all over the world, particularly those who are in Nigeria, in Ground One, Ghana, and all over the diaspora. I thank you for being here on the Horizon every week, following our programs, because we are here, because you are there. And we appreciate you, and we're looking forward to a great program today. Today, we have 3 topics to discuss, to shed light on, to expose, especially as it pertains to our quest for international recognition. We have one of our permanent guests on the program, Dr. Fred Lobati, who is going to be our guest today. The main topics today is how the education in La République du Cameroon, especially the education of our medical professionals, how that impacts us Southern Cameroonians or Amazonians. We'll also talk about the new taxation that is being imposed on our people. And finally, we'll talk about this call for unity. And this is very important as we are looking forward to a new year 2025 and what this call for unity really means and what the best way to achieve this unity is. Before we continue, I just want to welcome Dr. Lobati. Dr. Lobati, welcome to the Horizon. Take a moment to greet everyone and then start the program.
Thank you very much, Dr. Patience. I hope people can hear me very well. We just worked on our setting here. I hope that everything is going smoothly. But yes, we really need to spend time and talk to our people because it is something concerning their lives that impacts on their day-to-day living. And that is why we are asking for total freedom, and that's why we are working towards our total liberation from these guys that are keeping us in servitude and suffering. We'll explore as much as we can, and the people on the ground can testify what they experience on a daily basis. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So let's talk about medical training in Cameroon. We say it's a mess, and there's reference to one particular audio. But before we get there, let's just talk about some background information. Doc, you and I, we were in school in the early days, in the 60s, primary schools, 70s, 80s, higher education, and then we came to the United States for more education and or other parts of the world. And we can compare, we know exactly how our primary education was, that foundation. And that leads to you having a better understanding when you enter into professional training. With that said, let's talk about your case in particular. Could you share with us exactly how your own education went through? I just want to start with that before we can delve into what is happening in La République du Cameroon and how it affects Ambazonia.
Correct. So we grew up in the English system of education, where we were trained rigorously by teachers. Our examinations, even right through from primary school, was monitored by invigilators, proctors, who were monitoring clearly to make sure that when we take exams, we were not cheating. You don't look over your shoulders to see what is in some other person is doing, but that you truly put down what your true knowledge is. And when I graduated from ordinary level in 1978, we took the GCE exam that was written in London, as well as the GCE A level in 1980 that was written from London. And but the first certificates were now issued from Cameroon, but the exams were written from London and marked at the time also in London. Unfortunately, with time, things have changed. When I finished advanced level, I was graced to have scholarship because of my brilliant performance to study abroad, and I went to Germany, which is a different system from the English system. And again, there, the studies at the university level was very rigorous. When we were taking exams, we had invigilators and proctors who were monitoring to make sure that you are truly putting on paper what you know. And exams were mostly multiple choice questions, which means you cannot cheat. And a professor or a teacher cannot, based on how you look or their feelings towards you, give you a mark. The computer can only know exactly what you have put. So that was more objective. And then, of course, we graduated, took exams, and finished very well. And I went back home, practiced for a while, came to the United States where I've done further training in subspecialization in internal medicine and infectious disease. And again, we have rigorous training, rigorous exams, which are national monitored, and during our practice, we have to do continuing education because medical knowledge continues to increase every day. Most of what we knew in the past is old, is no longer valid, is no longer applicable, and is changed with new information that has been discovered. And so you cannot live on what you knew in the past. You have to study to keep yourself abreast with new knowledge to be up to date. Anyway, that is the path that I have taken in my medical training and practice currently.
Yes, so that is really what most of our colleagues, our friends, our families who were in school during that era, that's how they experienced education. But today, let's talk about the United States of America in terms of how rigorous training is here for medical students. You want to talk about that briefly before we go to what is happening in La République?
Medical students study extremely very hard, and they get tested continually during their training process, and they have to attend teaching sessions where they are documented to have attended class. They also have to attend teaching sessions at the bedside where they go to, they say, the hospital or a clinic with a provider or a clinic professor or a teacher. They have to document that they have been present, how long they were present, how active they were, and they also get tested to document that they know exactly what they are doing, besides the national exams. And this is an ongoing basis. Even while we practice, patients also assess our performance. How do we communicate with them? Do we communicate in a way that they understand what we are saying? Do they believe that we are good doctors? We are being assessed, and all of that is properly documented, and you can verify it, even online, about each physician and their performance here in the United States. That's what we do.
That's a good thing. I wonder if that even happens in La République du Cameroun, where patients have the opportunity to give feedback on their experiences. Does that happen at all?
I don't think it truly happens. I think recently somebody in Equinox was talking about the training, which is extremely very poor. I hope we'll be able to present that video, even though it's in French, where they are basically saying that most of the students, first of all, they have to be approved by the Minister of Higher Education, which they use as a means of taking bribes. And they don't even attend classes. They don't even go to to teaching sessions. And we have experienced
let's introduce that video. Let's introduce it now, because I think after we listen to it, we'll have more to talk about. So let's introduce that video right now. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Oh Lord.
Plus grave que vous ne l'imaginez. C'est un crime contre l'humanité, ce qui se passe à la faculté de médecine de Douala. Et je parie que ce n'est peut-être qu'à la faculté de médecine de Douala. Vous avez beaucoup de médecins là qui sont dehors aujourd'hui, qui sont sortis, qui ne sont pas des médecins. Ça se pose un problème. Est-ce que vous savez qu'à la faculté de médecine de Douala, je suis enseignant professeur à la faculté de médecine de Douala, est-ce que vous savez que le taux d'absentéisme des étudiants frise les 80%. C'est-à-dire que dans une promotion de 100 étudiants, quand vous avez 20 qui viennent à votre cours, vous êtes content. Et ça, c'est pour tous les cours, tous les enseignements, tous les enseignants. C'est comme ça là que ça se passe. Et à la fin de cette année d'études, l'étudiant reçoit quand même son diplôme. Vous vous demandez comment est-ce qu'il a fait.
Oui, mais c'est vous qui les évaluez, professeur.
Alors, c'est nous qui les évaluons, mais le problème c'est que ce n'est pas forcément l'enseignant qui décide. Et vous connaissez que moi, je n'ai pas ma langue dans la poche. Et dans le forum des enseignants, je le répète tout le temps. Déjà, les enseignants sont silencieux. Ils sont silencieux parce qu'ils ont peur. Ils ont peur de leur carrière. Ils ont peur de dire que oui, monsieur le doyen, ça, ce n'est pas normal.
Mais peur de quoi? Vous avez des étudiants qui ne viennent pas à l'école, qui ne prennent pas des cours, à qui on va confier des vies demain et qui n'ont pas le niveau. Et vous dites que les enseignants ont peur de le dénoncer?
Alors, je vous dis, je répète encore, les enseignants ont peur de dénoncer. Ils ont peur de dénoncer. Pas plus tard que hier, j'ai encore relancé ce débat dans le forum. Il n'y a qu'une seule personne qui a réagi. Tous les autres, c'est silence radieux. On est dans un pays qui va très mal. Hein. Vous ne savez pas à quel point on va très mal. Quand l'élite se planque, vous pouvez comprendre que le peuple est abandonné. Quand l'élite se planque, le peuple est abandonné. Et donc, et ce n'est pas tout. Maintenant, l'étudiant va sortir. Après cette année, on appelait ça à l'époque l'école buissonnière. Donc les étudiants de la faculté de médecine de Douala font l'école buissonnière. Il faut que vous le sachiez. Les gens qui vous soignent là, beaucoup font l'école buissonnière. Et après, ils font leur thèse. Comment ça se passe dans la thèse? Il y a une circulaire du ministre de la Santé, de l'enseignement supérieur qui réglemente le nombre de thèses par directeur de thèse, donc l'encadrement d'un étudiant. Parce que la thèse, c'est ça qui sanctionne le parcours d'un étudiant et qui l'initie un peu à la recherche. Parce qu'on ne peut pas faire la médecine sans la recherche. Est-ce que vous savez que d'après ces statuts, aucun encadreur ne peut avoir plus de 8, allez maximum 10 thèses par an. Parce que l'étudiant ne sait rien, vous devez le manager, le coacher. Et vous ne pouvez pas, avec toutes les autres charges, encadrer plus de 10 thèses. Et encore que souvent, beaucoup ont aussi des thèses qui à Bafoussam, qui à Yaoundé, qui à Banganté et autres. Les gens donc se retrouvent avec 10 thèses. Donc déjà dans une même faculté, avoir plus de 10 thèses, ce n'est pas normal. Est-ce que vous savez qu'à la faculté de médecine de Douala, depuis des années, il y a une mafia de thèses qui fait que vous avez des enseignants qui ont 15, 20 thèses, pendant que d'autres ont peut-être 2 ou même pas de thèse. Et ça doit être régulé par le doyen de la faculté, qui refuse de le faire depuis. Résultat des courses, quand vous êtes membre d'un jury de thèse, vous voyez un étudiant vous présenter son travail. Vous demandez s'il a eu un encadreur. Et il va sortir médecin. Non seulement il a fait l'école buissonnière, et que même dans les stages à l'hôpital, un coup il vient, un coup il ne vient pas. Il ne va jamais au cours magistraux à la faculté. Donc il ne connaît pas grand-chose, mais il va sortir diplômé. Et c'est lui qui va vous soigner, qui va me soigner.
Mais professeur Boni, ce que vous décrivez est extrêmement grave.
Vous savez pas
dans le dos.
Alors, je vais vous dire, je vous fais maintenant un scoop. Ma deuxième lettre, j'accuse au président de la République, c'est sur ce sujet-là. Parce que c'est plus grave que vous ne l'imaginez. C'est un crime contre l'humanité, ce qui se passe à la faculté de médecine de Douala. Et je parie que ce n'est peut-être qu'à la faculté de médecine de Douala. Vous avez beaucoup de médecins là qui sont dehors aujourd'hui, qui sont sortis, qui ne sont pas des médecins. Ils ne connaissent pas grand-chose. Parce qu'ils n'ont pas appris. Et la faculté de médecine de Douala valide ça.
Alors, on va peut-être pas faire une fixation sur cette faculté-là, mais on va poser le problème de façon globale. Vous dites donc qu'il y a certes du matériel de pointe qui est mis.
Thank you. Well,
Correct.
I don't like that foreign language, but I picked up a thing or two, Doc. So the professor is explaining how the system works, but you are here to tell us more about it.
So this is a professor who teaches medicine at the Faculty of Medicine in the University of Douala, and he's decrying the wrongdoings that are going on there in the training and eventually graduation of doctors that go out to practice medicine. And he says it's a crime against humanity. Many of these students, over 80%, do not attend classes. They do not go to training sessions, say at the bedside with other professors, or to learn how to take care of patients. And yet, and even their work that they're supposed to present to graduate, many of them do not do it. This is suppressed by the minister himself, the minister in charge of higher education, who controls everything, because they have to approve you to go in. That's a means they use to take bribes. And then they approve you to graduate as well. So they control all of these. People graduate who never went to class, who never trained, and are given certifications as doctors to practice medicine. So he's saying that these are not doctors who sit in offices claiming to be doctors and kill a lot of Cameroonians. And that is in big contrast to what is truly going on in other places around the world with medical practice. And we want to bring this to the knowledge of our people, because just recently, within this week, one of my friend's sisters, 57 years old, was sick in Bamenda. They took him to the hospital and she died within 24 hours. So you don't know who is treating you. The fact that somebody is putting on a white coat and writing something on a piece of paper does not mean they know what they are doing, or they were trained, or even attended classes. That is a tragedy that our people are going through that we wanted to bring out.
Yeah, it's right to be labeled crime against humanity. And this is not happening probably only in Douala. This probably is happening in all major cities in both La Republic and Southern Cameroons. You have, as you've rightfully said, cases where people go in for minor ailments, and the next day you hear that they're in a coma or they've died. And why is that? It is such a shame that our people are not aware of this. That's why we are bringing this on the air, so that people get educated. You said two things. There were two things that really came out very profoundly for me to really grasp at. The education itself is not gotten by the students. They don't get the education. They don't get the training. You know, here in the United States, you have what they call residency. You have to practice. You have to do hands-on training before they let you, fly, before they let you be able to be on your own to see patients. How do you expect somebody who has not even gotten the education in classroom setting, and has not gotten the training, the on-hands training in a hospital facility or clinic, to be responsible for a life? I mean, the human body is so delicate. I mean, God created us in such a remarkable way that if you mess up one area, you can just kill somebody just like that. Doc, please just tell us some more how this is such a huge injustice.
In fact, it's a tragedy, because medicine is becoming more and more complicated, not only in terms of technology, but the human body, the way it's made. You have to understand how it functions, especially if you call yourself a surgeon, and how the body is structured, the anatomy, to know how to, to perform surgery properly and rescue human life. And of course, you have the non-surgical aspect of medicine, which is based on a lot of knowledge. And we don't want to even talk about technology that Cameroon doesn't have. The sophisticated technology and just lab tests that they need to be able to do that they are not able to have. But you have people here who did not even go to class, who did not even learn. See, when I went to medical school, we had to literally dissect an entire human body. We took people who offered their bodies to medical science. We took the body and dissected it from head to toes and took apart the skin, all the different body structures, the muscles, the nerves, the arteries, the veins, the tendons, and every part of the body. We took it apart so we know how the human body is made, from learning on hand, not just looking at a book or looking at a paper or even a video, but doing it by yourself in the lab. And we had professors who were with us, monitoring us. And besides that, we also created our own slides and looked under the microscope to study the very minute components of the body that you can only see under the microscope and electron microscope. You don't have those facilities in Cameroon, and these people are not learning that. And then not to mention the fact that they are not even going to class to learn the little knowledge that they can get. And then they graduate and are given certificates, robed in white, and they start driving big cars and sit in the office and call themselves doctors when they are not true doctors. That's what that professor was decrying, that these are not doctors.
And if it's happening where the professor was decrying, then it's happening in other places. It's not going to be something that is just unique to that university. You've had cases where people have ended up in hospital. And I think Ambazonians, Southern Cameroonians are even more at risk, because if you go in, you're sick, and you're being attended by one of these mostly francophone, I hate to use that as a way of contrast, doctors who doesn't care. You're already considered a dog, cockroach, and all the like. So why bother? They just experiment on you, and you come out dead. They don't care. They don't have that. Here, the doctors practice do no harm. That's their core belief. First, do no harm. There, it's not a priority. And so we Southern Cameroonians, we have more to lose than they, because sometimes they make care for their own people, but not for our people. And we bring this here because we want to tell Southern Cameroonians that that's why we are fighting this. That's why we want to liberate ourselves. We're trying to get Southern Cameroons, Ambazonia, where primary and secondary education will be so it will be just like they do in developed countries. Will be phenomenal, where people understand by the time they get to tertiary education, they know exactly what they want to do. If they want to go to medical school, they know that they've had the background education where when they get to medical school, they will excel. You don't have somebody who is doing nothing at all during the primary and secondary education, and then find themselves, due to bribery and corruption, getting into medical school and coming out and boasting that they're a medical doctor but know nothing, because that's how some of them are right now. You know, and they send some of these people to our own territory, to our own government hospitals, and they treat us, First of all, there's a language barrier. They come, they don't speak our language, and you're supposed to go and complain that you're sick of ABC. They don't understand you. They just give you whatever prescription they want to, and God forbid you need surgery. You go under the knife, and the next minute your family hears you're dead. We're going to be moving to the next topic soon, but Doc, I want us to really conclude on this topic and make what would be your advice to Southern Cameroonians, Ambazonians, when they find themselves in a hospital or a foreign place, in a foreign
Actually,
area?
during this our crisis, many Ambazonians, high-ranking Ambazonians like senators who were sick, went to hospital, and they deceived them that they died of COVID, which was not true. They likely would have been poisoned. So La Republique can kill you when you go to them thinking that you're seeking help. I would advise our people generally, be very watchful. If you can afford, go to a mission hospital first. If you can afford, and it's not very far away, I trust them to do better. I've worked there myself in Bansa Baptist Hospital and Bingo Baptist Hospital. They are not the only mission hospital. There are many of them. You have the Catholics have them, the Presbyterians have them. There are others and some private clinics. If you can afford it, go to a mission hospitals. If you cannot afford it and you think you've heard a reputation of a good doctor in town who is private, you can try to go there as well. And as a last resort, you can go to the government hospital. But when you are being treated by francophones, by doctors of francophone origin, doctors trained in the Cameroonian system and graduated from the Cameroonian system, be very careful. You may be receiving training from somebody who is not a doctor, who was just offered a certificate and is putting on a white coat.
That is such a shame. It's really a travesty, as you said, and a tragedy. Okay, we're going to be moving on to the next topic. We have two more topics to talk about. I want to introduce this one on unity first. I hopefully we can change the topic on the screen. The call for unity that has been coming, we've been hearing over and over and over again. And I'll mention some names. Some of them are popular names. Some of them are people that are now we consider the infamous names. I'll mention them just to make us have a conversation. But the background for what we have to talk about, I want to go back to our evolution, where we came from and why we are now a government. So, Doc, I'm going to give this background so that when I'm finished, you will be able to comment more on this matter. We started as a consortium, and then this is the days of the teachers and the trades and trade unions and all the like. Moved on to SCACUF. Then from there, in 2017, we became the interim government. After we became the interim government, the last thing, which was the end of 2023, we became a full outright government. We realized that we made a mistake, because if we were continuing the government of Joam, why call ourselves interim government? So we fully restored our government to the Federal Republic of Southern Cameroons, or the Federal Republic, or the government of Ambazonia. That's where we are. But who are the people behind all this? Who are the leaders behind all this? So going back, when Sissoco Ayutthaya was the interim president, he came to Southern Cameroons. He came to Southern California. And I think I've mentioned this story before. And at that time, we welcomed him here. I wasn't really very active in the journey, but we were very busy in our local chapter, and we worked hard to welcome him. And one of the questions, and I think I was the one who asked this question. I asked this question about unity. I asked the question why people like people like Akwanga and the one that is in jail right now, Achoayaba and Bo Herbert. I mentioned these three names. Why were they not involved with him? Why were they not in part of the government? And his answer was that, well, you do your best to acknowledge and ask all of them to be part of you, and if they refuse, what do you do? So that was the answer. Fast forward to when he, Sisoko Ayuk Tabe, decided to fire or dissolve the government, because remember that he was adopted in early 2018, January 2018, and he was in jail, and President Sako came on. But down the road, for whatever reason, fed, whether it was based on information that was fed to him, or whether it was just because of his own willingness to just be on the top, he decided to fire the President Sako's government and reinstate his government that was in jail, and put this one person to be his spokesperson, Yeremia. That was the beginning of disunity in the system. So he started the disunity. Sisoko started the disunity. I'm saying this because I'm going to go back and end by him calling for unity now, but he started the disunity. And then after that, people like Fontem Neba came around. The president, in all his knowledge, we stayed behind the president, and Sisoko was finally what was the word? He was impeached, and so nobody listened to him anymore. So he had his government in the air, but they were not really doing anything for Southern Cameroons. President Sako continued with the journey, doing everything that he does, supplying, doing fundraising, supplying our ARFs with materials to defend themselves, to defend the territory, materials for humanitarian purpose, for refugees and all the like. We continue on that journey. Then there was the creation of Team Ambazonia. The creation of Team Ambazonia in 2019, I believe, the September 2019, was to bring so-called leaders that, for whatever reason, they never really joined the struggle, but they were supposed to be the ones that were supposed to help to have La Republique on the table and negotiate our terms of freedom. That eventually failed for two reasons. It failed in the beginning because in Team Ambazonia, there was disunity. It was supposed to be a united body, but there was disunity. There was subtle disunity because they never really realized that for Team Ambazonia to succeed, there should be one major leader. And that major leader should be the person who really who was the president of the country, the leader of the interim government at that time. Remember, that time it was still an interim government. So if they had just accepted that should be the leader, Team Ambazonia would have morphed more into a body that was more respected. But because of everybody trying to be a leader, they did not succeed. And eventually, when La Republique pulled out of the Swiss talks, Team Ambazonia collapsed. Then, then we had things that happened in 2022, the era of the coup plotting and all the like, where you had another government evolving because of Chris Ano. Chris Ano created the second disunity. First of all, they claimed that Marianta was going to be the president. So Marianta should also be put in that bucket. She created another disunity. So it was first Marianta, right? And then after that, Chris Ano. So now the international community is saying that, all these people claim that they are presidents, they are leaders. So you have Marianta there, you have Chris Ano there, and then you have Sisoko. Sisoko was the first person. But the irony that the main body that is pushing, that is making ground zero, the home front hot, that is defending our territory day in, day out, that is taking care of refugees and IDPs and all the like. The main structure is the now government led by President Sako. So, and during the course of times, you had the evolution of LGAs and counties that were the fundamental, the foundation of our nation. Then in 2023, some of the members who left the government went and created something called Southern Cameroons Ambazonia Consultation. Southern Cameroons Ambazonia Consultation. I'm giving this history for us to understand why this talk of unity can be solved at the end with just one solution. But let's talk about what has transpired to this point. So they created this Southern Cameroons Consultation. And do you know who the people that are leaders in this consultation? You have people that left the government of Southern Cameroons and went and created this. You have people like Robert Fundi, who was one of the Secretary of States in President Sako's government. You have Elvis Kometa, who was the the chair of the Defunct Restoration Council. You have Gertrude Kisop, who was also a chair of a county. You have somebody called Cheps McFarlane. Cheps McFarlane was in Team Ambazonia, and he's supposed to be the leader of a small group in Canada who nobody knows about. Whether it's a two-man group, nobody knows much about. They don't do anything, but they are just there in name. You have Jimban, who was somebody who always was against the president. I don't know much about him. And then you have Fontem Neba. You have Fontem Neba, who has been the main person in charge of some of those monthly consultation meetings that they had. They would invite Southern Cameroonians to come and talk. All right. So I'm bringing this because at the end of this year, 2024, this past November, I think I shared it with you. This is the final document that came from them. Let me just read what it says. Pardon me, I didn't have it ready. Okay. It says now they call themselves Consultative Commission. Consultative Commission for the Transition to Democracy in Southern Cameroons. And they wrote something, says leaders of Southern Cameroons, Ambazonia, political organizations, and their representatives have continued consultations in the bid to strengthen unity and to take a unified stance on issues of common interest to Ambazonian people. They have pledged to speak with one voice and to continue updating the people of Southern Cameroons, Amazonia, on developments within the liberation movement. And they have a section that they have the conference in Canada and all the like. Okay. And they wrote this document and they copied. This is what is important here. So it was signed by the McFarlane Joe, the one that I mentioned that was the leader of this Rouen, and also signed by Fontem Neba. And they copied Chris Ano, IG. They copied Ebenezer Akwanga /APLM. They copied Elvis Kometa /SPNC. They copied Florentine Forche of ROA, ROA. They copied Iya Marianta, IG. They copied J. Taylor, ACT. And they copied NDF Nifang of Consortium. So this already is very misleading. If they were honest, they would have copied President Sako. But it's a great thing they didn't, because President Sako is the president of the government of Cameroon. So he's not there. So they are comparing those who are leaders of what they consider interim government that do not really exist. But The interesting thing is that there's somebody here called J. Taylor / ACT. ACT does not exist. And if ACT existed, then they should not be copying all these other branches that were members of ACT. They would have just copied only J. Taylor as ACT to represent all this APLM, IG, SCNC, ROA, IG, because Team Ambazonia was a coalition of all these other movements. So by putting J. Taylor here as ACT makes no sense, because Ambazonia coalition team is represented by, it's a team made up of all these other groups. So are they telling us that Taylor is still the leader of ACT? And he was never the leader of ACT anyway. All right. Let me proceed because I want to make this a little bit brief. So now we've had recently comments. I will talk about comments from people like Thibault Nash. Let me read what he wrote recently about unity, because this is all important information. So Thibault Nash recently sent his text messages, which he does. I mean, his tweets, which he does all the time. And in his one of his tweets, he's calling for unity, saying that especially now that Trump is going to be in power, it may be a time for there to be some form of unity amongst Ambazonia. And there was a tweet that he made, and he put in the names of some of these. There was a picture of some of these so-called leaders who are not doing anything for Southern Cameroons, by the way. And let me get this quickly, please. Okay, here we go. All right, he said, delighted President Trump will nominate Senator Rubio for U.S. Secretary of State. When I was Assistant Secretary of State, Rubio was among very few members of Congress showing great interest in justice for Southern Cameroons, Ambazonia. Now, need unity more than ever for Ambazonia to make their case. And then Sesoko Ayuktabe retweeted the tweet and says, like many of Thibault Nage's tweets about our struggle, this is another encouraging message that should urge our people towards unity. Let us always do that which is necessary to be at the forefront for the push for unity, because despite everything, and that's how it ended. All right, Doc, I'm going to let you talk in a few minutes. So they're all calling for unity, especially since we're going into 2025 with a new president of the United States of America. From what I've already discussed all this time, what is your take on this, and what do you think the best way to really get this unity will be as we enter 2025?
So this is my take on things. They say that the true taste of pudding is in the eating of it. And so we all know, if you want to know good food, when you eat it, you enjoy it, it smells great in your mouth, it tastes wonderful in your mouth. When it goes into your stomach, you don't feel sick, and your body is healthy from it. So what I'm trying to say is that people will know by tasting and seeing the fruits, the products that these guys bring, not by what they say. Because they may sound good by claiming that they are for peace and unity and harmony, because Thibault Nage has said that if we are one, then we can get more. But let me go back and try to bring out, from my perspective, what the true problem has always been. And Muna can be a good example to exemplify all these other people. So remember that the issue with us and Southern Cameroon has been about our wealth, the wealth of the land, the resources of the land, the richness of the land. People want them, and they don't care about us, the humans who live on the land. They don't care killing everybody by whatever means, either fake doctors like we just talked about, or bringing a war, starvation, abandonment, and in multiple other means. They don't mind killing us in order to assess the resources of the land. And actually, they have discovered that in Kumbo, people may be talking about the resources like fuel, oil in Dian, but in Kumbo, they have things like coltan that they use in in iPhones and things today, which is very, very rich and wealthy. These guys want those things, and that's what they have always wanted. And that is the big reason why our independence was betrayed. The British sold us to the French because they did not want us to become independent. They were afraid that the Russians were going to come in and take us. And so the West connived with Britain to allow us to be controlled by the French because they gave us a semblance of an ability to vote. And when we voted to join La République, then they say, okay, France, give us money in exchange, and we were sold to the French. It's all about our wealth. And since then, the French have been doing everything to control us and use the resources and play us one against each other from the very beginning. And you know, in the early 60s, they were able to buy Mona and used him to push Foncha out and eventually to push Joa out, and then use Mona occupying multiple positions as the Prime Minister of West Cameroon as well as the Vice President of the country, the Federal Republic of Cameroon, when you should not occupy two positions. And then from there, he was pushed over to be Speaker of the National Assembly, and then they faked the referendum of 1972 and then deceived Muna, if you read the details, that in the course of a change in government, he, the speaker, will be the next when they brought the Prime Minister Biya in. But then in 1979, they deceived him again, tricked him again, and made it change. Ahijo made a change where the Prime Minister becomes the person to take over and not the Speaker of National Assembly. And then Muna found himself betrayed, and he was the one who swore in Biya into office, an office that he was supposed to have inherited from what they had told him. So he was deceived. And Biya got in there, and eventually Muna got out. And when Biya changed the name from the United Republic of Cameroon to La République du Cameroon, and it was a big betrayal, Muna said, well, let the children grow up and fight. He did not participate in the fight. But eventually, when he was removed around 1988 and Fonka Shang became the Speaker of the House, Muna now started working with the opposition to the point where around 1997, he and Foncha went to the United Nations to say that the attempted federation with La République du Cameroon did not work. They came back, and then eventually Muna died and is buried. He's not accomplished much. But what I'm trying to bring here is that this is one of us that was bought off, and he lived well with money that was given as a bribe. His children are living well till today, but the people have been abandoned. And then eventually when the people galvanized and then emerged, Dinka himself fought, and they locked him up in jail. And he fought as a single individual to bring out the miscarriage of justice by Biya when he reverted to his former republic, which means that Biya seceded from the union by going back to his country before we attempted something in Fuman. And Goji Dinka, a good lawyer, decried this. Dinka was locked up. They almost killed him, but by the grace of God, he escaped, and thankfully he's still alive, but an old man now who is weakened. And then eventually things emerged with the revolution in 1990s, where you have SDF emerge. The whole country was supporting Frundi. But what I'm trying to say is that the plight of our people has always been the center of the gravity of the problem. And the people who have been bought off to betray us, they have always played a role with those who want to kill our people and never succeeded. But the momentum still keeps going on. So when Frundi emerged, people were around him. But what did La République and the French do? Remember that La République is controlled by the French. They went and bought Ben Muna to come and tell Frundi that he was not well educated. He was only a bookseller. So he should not be the leader of the SDF. But it never succeeded. So Ben Muna was thrown out. Then they succeeded to carve out Kawala to weaken the SDF. And they got to the point where they got Frundi now. They even came and got Frundi and bought him off, and Frundi was now dancing with Yaoundé and eventually died. But the momentum continues. So when things picked up with this blatant war that was declared by Biya, when La République started killing our people, and our people came out crying how their rights have been taken away, their education is compromised, like we just talked about the education of doctors here. They were bringing Francophones to come and teach in our schools in pidgin French. not even pidgin English. And then you had judges trying to judge old people in rural areas in French and taking them and locking them up in Yaoundé. So when people went out and complained, and it picked to this revolution, so our independence was declared by Ayuk Tabe at the time. But eventually, La République, in collaboration with the French, I think Macron went to Nigeria before they were picked up. He went and spoke with the Nigerian government to collaborate with La République. And so the Nigerian authorities collaborated with La République and they picked our Naira 10, the budding government, and they locked them in jail. And what have they been doing with them in jail? They have been talking to them to weaken down and collaborate with them. And that's why our people said, no, when you are in jail, you are not a free man. You have the gun on your head. So you are not speaking your true conscience. So Ayuk Tabe cannot rule from jail. And he kept trying to. That's why he was impeached. But he, working with La République, decided to find somebody else, Yerima, who is in Holland, to work with them. And Yerima has not done anything. People can verify his facts. But the revolution has continued. And when when Ayuk Tabe was picked up, they got a party of 3 to try and steer this thing. And eventually it didn't work. So Sako emerged and was given the reign of power. And since then, he has been guiding the revolution uncompromised. La République has attempted all kinds of ways to get to him to buy him off. The French have attempted all kinds of ways, even talking with the US government to facilitate a meeting with him. But the US government said no, that they will meet and talk on a table about the grievances of the people. But La République has done everything, sending ministers, church people, to come and try to sneak in and get to people and buy them off, give them bribes, and compromise them. That's all they have been doing throughout. But it's never worked. They got to the point where even the Restoration Council that you're talking about, where Kometa was, and I have seen Kometa, I've known him, he's come in my house about 3 times, and know him personally. He has been compromised. He told me people in La Republic government that communicate with him that have said, come and work with us as brothers and sisters. And he went and they got him. Somebody like the Chris Anu you're talking about, Bankwi himself said that they are working with him. So these are people that are working with La République du Cameroon. Then Fontem de Bala you were mentioning, he was in jail like Agbobala. And when they were in jail, La République talked to them. They had a compromise before they were released. And you know what Agbobala has been doing? He's not been effective. He's working for La République du Cameroon. So Fontem de Bala too is keeping his own deal of the deal that he did while in jail to be able to come out. So he's not a free man talking. So all these people, you can see all of them, they all belong together. They are all working together with the Republic of Cameroon. So when they are calling for unity, they are trying to bring the genuine people in so they can snuff the truth out of them and compromise them and kill it. That is a project that is being carried out under the guidance of the French and the guidance of La République du Cameroon with people who have been compromised by bribery and corruption. Now, yet the plight of our people, 8 to 10 million, is still there. We just talked about doctors who are released, not trained, killing them. And one of my friends' sisters who just died in the hospital, just collapsed at home for something easy to treat. They could not diagnose, arrived in the hospital and died. So somebody who calls himself a doctor didn't even know what to do and she died. Our people are living this on a daily basis. They go through all the hardship. The plight of the 8 and 10 million people is still the same. And the genuine people that stand for the truth, the people will know. Like Jesus said, my sheep hear my voice and they follow me. The people know who is speaking the truth and who is telling a lie. And the people will follow that person who is speaking the truth. So, yeah, that is a group. And you see the people that they copy themselves, they copy their friends. So anybody that they do not, like, has done everything not to acknowledge that President Sako exists. Because if they acknowledge him, they will have to meet him face to face as a leader of the group. And they know that he is a no-nonsense person who will not take bribe, who will not allow any compromise in any way. So they want to make like he's not there. Yet he is there. The US knows that he is there. The international community knows that he's there. That's why somebody went to Yaoundé recently, and Yaoundé was talking around the people that they have bribed, and they said, but what about Dr. Sako? Don't you know about him? He has a government, he has a parliament, he has all the structures, and they have been practicing and exercising. They are efficient and capable of coming in right away and take over and rule the country. So they are known, even if La Republic pretends that they don't know. These people are just being used to compromise and destroy or sniffle the little life out of the truth. But what I would tell our people is you will know good food when you eat it. You know how it smells in your nose, how it tastes in your mouth, how it feels in your stomach, and how your body does after you've eaten it. That's how you will know the good food. Those other people, they have not helped you. They have helped La Republique bought them off to collaborate with them to get our boys who are fighting for resistance, resisting the Republic killing and burning our villages to betray their location so that La Republique will kill them. That's what they have been doing. La Republique bought them off, then use them to pretend that they are leaders, and then go and find our boys and kill them. And La Republique has done everything. They have now taken their military to dress like Amber boys, go around town, shoot guns everywhere, terrorize the people, and frighten them just to make them exhausted and tired and give up. But what
Wow,
I'm trying
thank
to
you
say
so
is
much.
the government is there, and that government will succeed. It does not matter what they do, eventually will arrive shore, safe and sound.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much. So I want to put this out there that there's a simple way for unity to just occur. There's just a simple way. In fact, there are two recommendations. Those who want to continue helping the government of Southern Cameroon, Ambazonia, succeed in getting international recognition that were once part of the structure can fall back to their LGAs. When you fall back to your LGAs, they will know you. They will understand how you operate. They will welcome you back if you are genuine, if you are honest. And with time, your activities will be appreciated. That is one way. So go back to your LGAs and your counties, and your people know you and work within that structure to improve your LGAs and your counties. The second method will be for people like Marianta, who claims she is the leader of interim government, Chris Ano, who claims he's the leader of an interim government, and Ayuk Taibe, who claims he's the leader of an interim government, for all of them to denounce their government and say, we made a mistake. We are going into 2025. We really, really, really want Ambazonia to be realized in 2025 because we're so passionate about that desire. We will fall back and either join our LGAs or just sit it out and say nothing, not be a hindrance, and just be quiet. Sometimes silence is golden. So I am just putting this out there. If it gets to them, Marianta, Anu, and Sesoku, that if your cry for unity is genuine, then you can make that happen. You can tell the followers that you have to join their LGAs and their counties and work within those LGAs and counties and help to get us closer. Because when they are coming in as people that were betrayed before, they will not be privy to the intelligence of the government. Of course, those information will be kept near to the heart of those who are really trustworthy. It will need time for their trust to be built, which is understandable. So they come back, or they just be quiet. So as we enter 2025, which is in a few weeks, we hope this talk about unity will die down, because people know how that unity can be achieved. We don't want to be hearing the phrase unity. We are already a government. So in the United States of America, right here, you have Democrats and Republicans. The government exists. Not everybody is happy with the ruling party, but they appreciate it's one government. I remember, I think there was a tweet that Thibault Nash tweeted, and I think Uchuba replied, and Thibault Nash's response was, we have only one government, we have only one president. So you have parties, but you have only one government. So that should be the case of Southern Cameroons. Come in, go to your LGAs and counties and work within that structure, and stop bringing all this divide, the disunity that has happened in the past. So my pledge is that, prayer is that as we enter 2025, we should not be hearing this call for unity anymore, because we are already united as a government of Southern Cameroons. Doc, your closing comments on that subject.
See, the situation is this: the efforts by the French to control everything are failing, and that's what people need to know. Because in spite of what they are doing and working with La République du Cameroun, their efforts are going to fail. Why do I say that? The issue is the French controlling us for our stuff and using some people that they give money to and bribe to control us and use us for their purposes. But when you realize now how the French are ruling in the Sahel region, they have been denounced by many countries. Even Senegal recently has broken their military ties with France. In Chad, the French faked a coup by killing Deby, and then putting somebody that he raised in his house as somebody in there. Even that individual has now renounced his military ties with France. So La République du Cameroun is deeply under the control of the French. Not only La République du Cameroun, Congo, Gabon, that they faked another coup there as well. So what I'm trying to say is that the French are losing it. It's like your five fingers grip something, and you lose one, you lose number two, you lose number three, number four, and the fifth, and the French will lose it. The French have always lost it. They lost their territories in North America. They lost their territories in Asia, Vietnam War. They tried to control Algeria. It didn't work, and they lost it. And their last stand was in Central Africa and Madagascar and Sub-Saharan Africa. And even that too, they are losing. Remember that the French had control over Rwanda, where they caused the genocide there, and the Rwandans threw them out and changed their language, and they're trying to go back behind and bribe them. The French are going to lose it. Now they're trying to divert to English-speaking nations. They're trying to go to Ghana, Nigeria, and Kenya. They want to hold the next Francophonie thing in Kenya. They're trying to lure them to Macron is luring them to France and trying to bribe them and embrace them. But I am guaranteeing you, from all the information that I know, the French are losing it, and we are going to be liberated. France, La République itself is also going to be liberated. So all this bribery and corruption is just something that they're doing temporarily for a short time. And eventually, when that revolutionary change occurs, there will be such tremendous change that these people, I pray, will be out, and the genuine ones will be in leading the country. We are not saying this because we want to be leaders. I trust that when the time comes, the genuine leaders will emerge and will lead. And we are going to be free. That's what I would say about it.
Absolutely. We are going to be free. We are going to be free. We believe in that, and it will happen. We're going to be going to the next topic, the last topic for today, and it has to do with the current taxation practices. We know if La République is broke. They are in financial distress. It's something that has been happening for a long time now, and this war that they have against Southern Cameroons has really bankrupted them because of everything that has transpired since the war started. Before the war, because of their own corrupt practices, their financial strength was already a problem. So the war has just exaggerated and made things worse for them. But let's talk about this new tax imposition that they're coming up with. And I don't know whether we are able to see an audio on it. I mean, a video on it. If we're not able to see the video, then I'll play the audio. But I wanted to just to talk briefly before we see if I can introduce the video. What is going on with La République in terms of their financial situation?
So La Republique is ruled by very, very wicked and greedy individuals. La Republique claims that they do not have money, but they do have money. First of all, the French had an agreement with La Republique to keep all their money in France. And initially it was 100%, they reduced it to 65%, and recently it's been 50%. So we don't know how many percent that is. But Cameroon's money that Cameroon has is in, besides what the French have confiscated, Cameroon's money is in the French treasury. Number one. Then the little money that they allow to come to land for development, the government ministers have embezzled. So you have some ministers that have embezzled over 6,000 billion francs. You have some that have embezzled over 3,000 billion francs. They have this money in their private accounts abroad, in Switzerland, in Europe. I don't want to even talk about Biya himself because he just literally took everything for his personal pocket. That one is abroad. His daughter has over $7 billion, which you can multiply by over 600 to know what it is in francs, billions. So they have so much money, but yet these greedy individuals will not bring some of the money that they have to put it at the disposal of the country. So they claim that we don't have money. But then also, the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, very long story about those that I will not go into right now, they consider Cameroon to be a risk because they are not able to pay what they have borrowed. And remember, when they claim they have borrowed money, they push it on the citizens. The rich guys embezzle it back to their accounts and then make the citizens cough up the money to pay back. And right now, annually, the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, they get $1.4 trillion. Hear me well. $1.4 trillion on interest of loans to third world nations. That means money that they have borrowed to third world nations. Just the interest that the World Bank and the IMF gets is over $1.4 trillion. So our people are literally working as slaves for them. The Republic is so risky that they cannot borrow their money. They have been going to China and borrowing money, and they cannot get it. So what they do is just continually increase taxation for the common man and the population. And this is their budget for next year, 2025. So they have budgeted that for 2025, what they need to run La Republique government will be 7,250.8 billion francs. Remember, I mentioned some individual ministers have over 6,000 billion. Now, La Republique is projecting to run the government with 7,250.8 billion francs. Just those ministers, if they brought the money is there, not to mention what the French are keeping. Then, as the way they divided it is that administratively, for those in administration function, they will spend 5,387 billion just for administration, and they will only spend 1,800 billion in infrastructures. Can you imagine? It should be the reverse. That those who are working with the government, they don't get more than what is used to develop the country, to fix the roads. That's why the road from Bafoussam to Douala got cut off. The one in Chang got cut off, and they don't have money to fix the road. People now have to go through Yaoundé to go back to Douala because the road has been cut off. Instead, they should have invested the majority of the money, over 99%, to develop infrastructures to take care of the people, and less than 1% for the salaries of the people. But here, they are planning that the ministers have more money to embezzle than they are willing to even spend to do some development. And even what will be put in development will still. So they keep increasing taxes. And they have been doing it every year. And recently, the fiscal stamp price goes up. The IMF told them to tax the informal sector of the economy. That means, for example, our mothers who sell vegetables by the side of the road, they should also tax them. That's why the councils come and tell the mothers to pay for the spot in the marketplace or by the road where they put their goods to sell. They have to pay a certain amount of money. That's the informal sector that they have been taxing. And La Republique extended the taxes further. If we can have the video, we can present it before I even say some of the childish things that La Republique intends to tax.
Yes, so the video is not possible, but I'm going to just play the audio. The audio.
Et que cette dérive se sert de l'Assemblée nationale comme d'un mur de soutènement, il ne faut pas s'étonner que la République... Monsieur le Président, chers collègues, lorsque dans un pays, les ministres piétinent la loi et que cette dérive se sert de l'Assemblée nationale comme d'un mur de soutènement, il ne faut pas s'étonner que la République entière dérive dans l'anarchie et la barbarie. Quand ici nous piétinons la loi cadre de la décentralisation, dont la gestation a été douloureuse lors du grand dialogue national, dont le prétexte est bien connu, un amoncellement de morts, nous nous rendons, chers collègues, complices de ceux qui infligent des souffrances aux Camerounais en privant les élus locaux de moyens leur permettant d'alléger la misère des gens. Lorsque nous consacrons ici l'impunité suite au piétinement de la loi qui demande un simple respect des délais de communication des textes budgétaires dans notre pays, foulant aux pieds l'autorité de la plus vieille institution constitutionnelle, la seule qui existe depuis 1946, il ne faut pas être surpris que les gendarmes dans la rue et les policiers veuillent faire de la purée avec les avocats du barreau du Cameroun en les piétinant comme des bêtes sauvages. Tiens, le 18 octobre 2024, un inspecteur de police détaché au parquet des tribunaux de Bafia a agressé sauvagement Maître Paul Assiene Aboyoyo, lui a arraché la moitié des dents et l'a plongé dans une incapacité de 70% selon le certificat médico-légal. Le 19 novembre 2024, c'est récent, Mohamedou Awalou, jeune transporteur sur le corridor Douala-Bangui, a été abattu d'une balle en pleine poitrine, sans sommation et à bout portant. Depuis le 27 novembre 2024, hier, le monde entier est transi d'effroi devant les images devenues virales d'une rare animalité. Un gendarme, sans le moindre scrupule, qui s'offre un spectacle public en piétinant avec furie le cou, je dis bien le cou, d'un avocat du barreau, sans défense, dans la rue, devant des passants groggy de frayeur. George Floyd a été assassiné comme ça aux États-Unis en 2020. Le scandale de l'artiste Longuet et les mises en garde du secrétaire d'État à la Défense n'y ont rien changé. Nous portons nos écharpes ce matin parce qu'au sortir de cette plénière, nous allons au CED pour lui exprimer le ras-le-bol du peuple. Messieurs les membres du gouvernement, si la loi cadre de la décentralisation de 2019 ne vous convient pas, abrogez-la. Vous avez ici une majorité servile, quelques-uns s'expriment d'ailleurs là, que vous pouvez piétiner comme vous voulez. Pourquoi vous vous échinez même à écrire des lois? Fermez une fois l'Assemblée nationale puisque tout vous est permis. À l'article C53, le projet de loi dispose que les tarifs par zone de la taxe foncière sur la propriété immobilière, la TFPI, seront fixés par un texte particulier. Il s'agit d'une violation flagrante des stipulations de l'article 26 de la Constitution que voici. Sont du domaine de la loi la création des impôts et taxes et la détermination de l'assiette, du taux et des modalités de recouvrement de ceux-ci. Mais évidemment, la Constitution représente quoi pour vous? Que du papier. Vous pouvez la piétiner comme vous voulez. À l'article C149, vous décidez enfin de régler définitivement vos comptes avec la dotation générale de la décentralisation. Vous tracez les contours des fonds répartissables. Les exclusions consacrées dans l'assiette de la DGD peuvent d'ailleurs, à nos yeux, trouver une justification technique acceptable. Par contre, ce qui retient notre attention, c'est l'exclusion des opérations d'ordre. Vous faites donc enfin un aveu qui devrait pourtant vous obliger à changer d'orientation budgétaire. L'opération d'ordre, pour rappel à ceux qui bavardent là, est une opération de trésorerie d'un comptable qui n'a pas encaissé de l'argent liquide, mais qui doit constater une recette sur la base de simples écritures. C'est le cas de ce qu'on appelle la retenue à la source des impôts. Dans la commande publique, l'État, au moment de payer les prestataires, retient les impôts à la source. Mais c'est une opération à somme nulle, puisque c'est le payeur qui prétend percevoir au moment de payer une partie de ce qu'il est censé payer. Pourtant, ce qui est judicieux, c'est de payer totalement les prestataires, afin que l'argent ainsi payé circule dans l'économie et génère une valeur ajoutée qui va payer l'impôt plus tard. La création de richesses ne peut découler que du versement total des prix des marchés publics aux mains des fournisseurs de l'État, qui en retour se doivent en fin d'année de déclarer l'ensemble de leurs revenus intégrés au circuit économique pour générer les bénéfices imposables. C'est comme ça que le gouvernement lèvera les fonds devant renflouer la DGD. Or, la retenue à la source préempte le bénéfice en entravant la circulation monétaire ou le ruissellement. Mais en même temps, c'est l'État qui crée de nouveaux impôts et augmente des taxes qui pèsent sur les petites, les moyennes entreprises et les ménages. La conduite d'une politique fiscale expansionniste, monsieur le ministre, caractérisée par une inflation de taux d'imposition, de nouveaux tarifs et de la multiplicité des procédures, justifie en partie les remarques négatives du GCAM et des autres organismes syndicaux et de protection des consommateurs relativement au climat des affaires. Le croc en jambe que cette loi fait aux petites entreprises va renforcer cette opinion. La vérité, monsieur le ministre, c'est que cette loi sur la fiscalité locale n'est ni plus ni moins que du banditisme politique. Vous utilisez les communes et les régions comme des faire-valoir. Vous vous en servez comme prétexte pour créer de nouveaux impôts et pour augmenter d'autres taxes. Ça donne l'apparence de création de la nouvelle ressource, quelqu'un le disait tout à l'heure. Mais en réalité, ces ressources vont juste rentrer dans le circuit gabégique habituel et surtout asphyxier les petites entreprises et les ménages. Quand la taxe d'abattage d'une tête de bœuf passe de 1000 francs à 2500, celle d'une tête de porc passe de 400 à 1500, celle d'une tête de mouton de 250 francs à 1000 francs, celle d'un coq de 0 francs à 250. Je ne parle même pas de l'impôt du timbre communal qui passe de 200 francs à 500 francs. C'est quoi le but? Si ce n'est de provoquer l'augmentation des prix en fin d'année et l'aggravation de la pauvreté des gens. Ce que les mairies, les communes et les régions attendent de cette réforme, c'est le respect de la volonté du peuple en permettant aux élus d'avoir les moyens de régler leurs problèmes. Mais cette loi durcit plutôt la caporalisation des ressources par l'État central. La vérité est simple. Vous ne voulez pas la décentralisation. La centralisation dont font l'objet tous les impôts communaux aux fins de péréquation n'est pas juste dès lors qu'elle n'apporte pas un réel privilège de distribution pour la commune d'origine de la recette. Je fais une petite illustration pour sortir. Le produit de la redevance forestière, monsieur le ministre, la redevance annuelle, qui arrive dans les caisses du trésor public, est partagé entre l'État qui récupère 50% et les communes qui s'en tirent avec le reste. Mais en réalité, la quote-part des 50% affectés aux communes est répartie comme suit en vertu des dispositions de l'article 243 du Code général des impôts. 10% des 50% pour les services fiscaux de l'État au titre de l'appui au recouvrement. Vous avez dit niet aux collègues de la Chambre, de la Commission, qui vous ont dit de baisser ce pourcentage. 36% des 50% sont centralisés au FECOM pour péréquation. 54% des 50% reviennent aux communes de localisation du titre d'exploitation, soit en réalité 27% seulement. Le quart de ces 27%, soit 6,75%, devant être affectés exclusivement dans la commune de localisation au projet de développement porté par les populations riveraines. Alors, quel projet sérieux pourrait être ainsi financé par le monde? Comment s'assure-t-on au MINFI, au MINDEVEL, au CONSUPE que ces projets de développement sont effectifs, viables et durables? Il n'y a rien. La loi de règlement votée ici hier, au travers de l'annexe de la Chambre des comptes, dit que tous les chiffres sont faux, que les indicateurs de performance sont mensongers. Monsieur le ministre, vous êtes le Zorro du gouvernement. Laissez le président Biya aller se reposer au village et permettez aux Camerounais d'expérimenter un autre management politique dès 2025. Monsieur le ministre des Finances, vous qui savez si bien vendre la fumée, nul doute que vous avez un talent qui sera optimisé dans un autre.
Are we okay? All
Yes.
right. You know, that's a foreign language to me, but I heard that the President Biya was resting in the village. That's the only part I heard.
Well, he's saying that he's asking Biya to go and rest in the village. and let Cameroonians practice a different policy. Basically, I mean, I wish we could translate all of these two presentations, video present in good English, so that our people will hear very well what was said. He is talking
Yes.
how the central government is asphyxiating the population with taxation beyond imagination. I will just pick some little examples. So he's saying at the butchery where they cut cows to sell in the market. So to cut a cow, they tax the person from 1,500 to 2,500. If you are cutting a pig, a goat, even a chicken, if you want to cut a chicken, there they will tax you 250 francs. Can you imagine how low they have gone? I mean, they have gone so low, it's unimaginable. They will soon taxing the air you breathe. They will tax you for living longer and breathing longer as if they own the air. So anyway, he is saying that the government is not even interested in decentralization, that they want to keep everything under control only for the few to continue taxing the population and enriching themselves. And so if a francophone is talking to francophones that their central government is not interested in decentralization, it is only stupid for Anglophones, for Ambazonians, for Southern Cameroonians to believe that they are interested in giving us a true special status as they think. That's why a governor abused a chief for putting on a traditional cap in Yaoundé for dressing. That means he went and dressed and put on a traditional cap, and a governor was abusing him for why was he doing that and all that kind of thing. So they have reduced them to simpletons. So anyway, I wish these videos could have been translated into English so that the people will hear what we're saying. La République claims that they don't have money. They do. The French have our money in their treasury. The ministers have monies that they have embezzled and hidden abroad and in their homes. And Biya himself has a lot of money that he's embezzled and his family are squandering. And they just claim that they don't have money and continue impoverishing the people by taxing everything imaginable. Can you imagine that in Cameroon that has wealth and oil? In Nigeria, 1 liter of super, after when Nigeria is no longer providing subvention, will cost 450 francs. But in Cameroon, it will cost 1,015 francs.
Wow.
They just keep taxing the people, and the people say nothing. And if they continue doing nothing, they will continue taxing them to the point where they will tax you for living 1 more year and breathing as if they own the air.
So, Doc, can you give us some more specifics from that video in terms of what were they saying in terms of taxing animals, chicken, goats,
Correct.
and all
But
the
we're
like? Did you
saying that
mention that?
when animals will be butchered for sale, for 1 cow that used to be 1,500, they will tax about 2,500. So they'll increase the taxation for butchering a cow to sell. You know how you bring the cow from the bush, you want to butcher and sell in the market? So the tax for that, the privilege to sell in that spot will go from 1,500 to 2,500. To butcher a pig will go higher to from over 1,000, from 750, and to butcher a goat will cost also 750, and to cut a chicken, can you imagine, will cost 250. I don't know who goes and cuts a chicken in the market, in the public place. But can you imagine? They will soon come to people's homes and count the trees and plantain stalks behind your house and tax them.
And even the taxation, who collects this money, by the way, when they do, who collects the money? How does it tax?
They have people that have been trained in their professional schools to go around collecting taxes. They usually come with the military, and they go around, and these are not even enough. They just go around harassing the people in, say, the English-speaking zone, maybe the Bamileke zone, and some few areas. They don't go to Bia's region and harass the people there. And then when you walk on the streets and you don't have your tax document, the military harasses you. Those are the people. We opened a business in Yaoundé and they taxed it out. That was in 2001. We opened a business in Yaoundé and they taxed it 100% the first year. And the subsequent year, that's 100% of what the business is running for. The subsequent year, they just taxed it out. That is what
That's
they do.
crazy.
They're not interested in development in that country.
And that is not new, Doc. That's what has frustrated a lot of people that have studied abroad and entrepreneurs that have, with all intentions, they were so excited. Oh, we're going to go back home and open a plantation here or do a business here. They had all this ambition and create new businesses for the local community. And lo and behold, when they went back home, that's exactly what happened. They were taxed out of their mind. But the sad thing is that if this taxation was happening and you could see the benefit to the community where you have good roads and good and safe water and electricity, then you understand that the tax is being put to use. But the money is going into individuals' pockets, like you've already explained. And again, I will say that that's why we are fighting for the Ambazonia we want. Because in the days of Southern Cameroon, the days of West Cameroon, you had very honest system where the taxes were used to build the villages, the towns, and people knew exactly how much money was coming in and how it was supposed to be distributed to the very local government areas that they had at that time. So it's a shame that we are in this position 2024. You would expect that as the years go by, a country will be progressing. It's the reverse. We are regressing, I should say. And we, as Southern Cameroons, we continue to fight. It's just a pity that those who are younger, they don't realize, they cannot compare what was before and what is now. We, in the age that we are, that were born in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and maybe 80s, we know the difference, and we are fighting for the younger generation. We want the Southern Cameroons where taxation will be fair, and the taxes that are collected will be used to improve the lives of the people. What is your closing comment on this topic? So we'll be rounding up and giving some announcements about tomorrow.
Yeah, we just advise our people, let us be honest and sincere to ourselves. There's no reason to be pretending. You know the condition in which you live. You know what you have experienced. You can tell who is telling you the truth and who is deceiving you. And let us not give up hope. Things are changing. They may seem to be slow, but eventually it will fall in our favor, like I just mentioned. The French will lose control, whether they like it or not. The Yaoundé regime will crumble, whether they like it or not. Eventually, when they will announce that Biya is dead, whether he is dead or not, and they're pretending using modern technology that he is still alive, eventually he will still go like everybody has gone. And we will be liberated and free. And so I will advise our people, don't be deceived by people who come to tell you certain things. You can tell whether it's true or not. La Republique is buying off people, bribing them, corrupting them, just to keep us in servitude. And don't allow yourself to be enslaved further. That's what I will advise them. I think we'll be fine. At the end, unfortunately, some people will die, but I pray that less and less people die.
Less and less people die. Yes, we're going to get to Ambazonia. Let's just pray that it happens soon, as you just said, Dr. Lobati. Thank you so much for being on the horizon to the voice of the Amba woman. Tomorrow is a special day. Do you want to make that special announcement about ABC network?
Yes, tomorrow we will be launching programs that will expand this television network and other communication networks that bring out the plight of our people, not only to ourselves, but to the world. And we are appealing to all good Ambazonians, honest and sincere Ambazonians, those who are serious, those who mean what they say and what they think, and they are not being tricked, they are not being bribed, they are not being manipulated, they are not self-centered, only wanting to propel themselves, to join us, to participate massively, those abroad as well as those on the ground. Participate and contribute and to strengthen our voice so that we'll continue bringing the message about our plight to educate ourselves, educate the world, and this will continue until we land on the ground and continue the same message. That's how it's going to be. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being on the horizon, the voice of the Amber Woman. So today we've discussed three main topics. We talk about the medical system in La République du Cameroon and how it affects our Southern Cameroonians. We talked about this call for unity, and we also talk about the current tax practices in La République du Cameroon. The take-home message really is that we want to be able to have total control of our territory. We dream of an Ambazonia that will be able to manage its own affairs. And we have so much talent, both in the home front and in the diaspora, that are just waiting to get the call to build that nation. Build a nation where you have experts, medical doctors who really care about the sick, who you will trust to take care of your loved ones. You have a government that will tax you fairly and use the proceeds from the tax to build your communities, good roads, water system, health, safe water, electricity. These are just minimal needs for any government to provide for its citizens. You don't have that in La République du Cameroun and in our nation, because they control some of our territories right now. You don't have that. So we are really asking people to continue to fund our government, continue to support our government, continue to volunteer in any form, any way, so that 2025 may be the year, will be the year, should be the year that we see that beautiful land of ours called Ambazonia, and we will rejoice all together and have a beautiful nation for generations to come. Thank you for being on the horizon, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow on ABC as the ABC Amba TV network is launched tomorrow. Thank you so much, and have a great weekend.
The La Republic du Cameroon president Paul Biya things being under control
This Saturday, December 7th, 2024, a new era of broadcasting by Ambazonia begins.
Introducing the groundbreaking 4K project by Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation, ABC Networks 24, where vibrant Ambazonian content comes alive in stunning quality through different networks. We launch a world of diverse and untold stories told through multiple languages: French, Spanish, Portuguese, and that is just the beginning. An ambitious journey to bring the rich tapestry of Ambazonia to every screen, everywhere. Join us as ABC Amba TV English expands to new horizons, broadcasting in DSTV and Canal Plus Horizon this January. Get ready for a dynamic viewing experience that is as colorful and diverse as Ambazonia itself. This is more than television. This is ABC Network 24. Taking our story into the future and wonders of multimedia. This is the movement.
Join us and be part of history as the President of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, His Excellency Dr. Samuel Ikome Sako, introduces this experience of a lifetime.